Okay, so we're in my apple with wings sequence, and you can see here that we have back wing, apple, and front wing, and they're all kind of stacked up nice and neat. I'm going to just choose fit here so I could have a little bit more room to work with. Scale that down. Scale that over, I should say. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually just turn on my lock right here, and I'm going to turn off these. And I just want to isolate essentially my front wing for right now. By hitting the lock, I won't be able to kind of move it around and can't do any damage to it. So I want to animate my front wing. The way I'm going to do that again is just click on the clip that you want to actually animate, go up to Effects Controls, and then here are all the effects. So right now I know that I want to rotate this. I'm going to click on this little icon right here so I could actually see the outlines. And I just want to draw your attention to this little dot right here. That's actually the anchor point. So over here, that's what an anchor point is. And you could actually animate the anchor point and it'll work similar to position, but the difference is it's also where the animation or the clip rotates around. So you can see right now, my wing is rotating around that anchor point. And that won't really work very well for my animation. I've got to get this anchor point over the point where I want the wing to animate, which is right here at this shoulder joint. So if I come over here, I could start to move this around a little bit, and I'm just going to slide this number over until I get my anchor point right where I want it to rotate around. Now you can see my wing will rotate around that anchor point, which is perfect. So if you're going to be doing any rotation, like hands on a clock, in this case wings, whatever it might be, you're going to need to set your anchor point before you do any animation. I've set my anchor point here. That is for the entire clip. Now I want to actually start my animation itself. So let me actually see here. So I turned my apple back on. I realized when I shifted my image over to be over the center point here, now my wing is in a wrong position. I'm just going to grab my position slider and slide that back over to where I want this to kind of go. Right? And then I could hide these again. And now let's actually start with this animation. So here I am, frame 0. And I'm going to, in this case, I'm just going to do it numerically. I'm just going to say, let's say 15 degrees. I'm going to tab out of that and say, okay, so that's going to be my top position for my wing flap. Now that I have that position set here, turn on my toggle animation button, and right here for the rotation, it puts a keyframe in. So it says here 15 degrees on this first one. Now I can step ahead a certain amount of frames. How quickly do I want my wing to go from the top position to the bottom position? Let's say half of a second. So a cycle will take 1 full second to go up, down, up. I'm going to do this numerically here just so I can kind of keep track. I know that my sequence is 24 frames a second. So in my time code, I'm just going to type in half of that, which is 12. Tab out of that, and when I do, you'll see my position, my current time indicator, my playback head jumped out to that. Now all I need to do to put this to the bottom position is I'm going to type in -15. In this case, if you did 20, do -20, and that way it'll be equal. And now you can see, so there's up and down. So up, down. I can continue doing this. So the next, after half of a second, in this case 12 frames, I can now type in 100. And then I could type in 15 again. And now 1 second, 12 frames, -15, and so on and so forth. So now I have a couple cycles right here. I could continue doing that, but since I'm just doing a cycle, I'm just going to select all of these keyframes, and now I can copy and paste them. So when you select keyframes, you could move them around. You can copy and paste them. You could delete them, whatever you want to do with that. So I've copied and pasted it. I'm going back to frame 1. So that's the up position. And this is a down position. Great. So the next, if I go, instead of 112, if I go to 2 seconds, and now click up here, I could paste that. I'm just going to use my keyboard shortcut to paste that in there. Oh, I forgot to select them to copy them. I'm just going to copy them and now paste them. It pastes wherever your playhead is, and now I have a longer cycle here, almost my full cycle of 5 seconds. Before I go any further, how long do I want these wings to flap for? If I do only 5 seconds here in Apple with Wings, and I pull that into another sequence, my animation is only going to be 5 seconds. I want this apple to fly across the screen. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to pull this out. I want to make this a little bit longer. So I'm going to go up to 7 seconds here. I'm going to pull out each of these clips as 7 seconds. So I've stretched my animation out to 7 seconds instead of the default 5. I'm going to lock these other 2 layers here just so I don't kind of mess them up. Click on the clip, and up here we can see there are my keyframes. Going to select that first portion of keyframes, copy that using the keyboard Command C. Then come over here, and I see right now my last keyframe is at 3.5 seconds. So if I type in 400, come back up here, and now I could paste those keyframes, and now I've just doubled that again. So now I have the full 7 seconds of wing flapping here. Just gonna hit play there. Sure enough, there's my wing flapping. Turn on my apple. Let's go back and just take a quick look at that again. Looks good. Now let's just animate that next wing right here. So I'm going to lock up my apple wing here, and I want to animate this. Now, I've already animated one wing. I just need to animate the other. I could go through and do the whole process again by hand, but what I'm going to do instead is I'm just going to copy and paste the keyframes from the first one. So if I come in here, and I need to make sure I get all those keyframes, I'm just going to shift click to get that last one, and I'm going to copy that from front wing, lock up front wing, go to back wing, and pull this all the way back to 0. It always pastes wherever your playhead is, and hit paste. And sure enough, there's my rotation for that. And now let's take a look at this. Okay, so you can see the wings are not the way we want them to. We want both of the wings to be at the top at the same time, and both at the bottom at the same time. And that's because our rotation point is on a different spot. So what I'm going to do is I just know that my first keyframe needs to be deleted and shuffled down because I want to basically swap the position of those. I'm going to take the first keyframe here, which in this case I could see is the down position for this. I want it to be the up position. Delete that keyframe, select all the other ones, and then slide them over. And now look, they're both at the top. Yay, flappity flappity. So this portion's done. I have my wings flapping on my apple. And now I could take this whole sequence and nest it within another sequence. And I could do additional animation to the actual apple with wing sequence. And I'm going to make that actually fly across the cloudy sky.